Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In advance, I apologize if this video appears messy. I have never, in the years that I have been on YouTube, ran to a camera so fast to make a video. We have breaking news that I came across on X, and we have to talk about it because the DOT just issued an emergency rule that is going to restrict non-domiciled CDLs. Now, this is so fresh that this rule is not even published yet. It is scheduled to be published, from what I saw, on Monday. But Rob Carpenter on X, thank you so much to him. He actually got a hold of this document, which of course I'm going to attach down below, that is scheduled to be published on Monday. So we're going to be going through it. Ready? Let's go. All right, part of the first paragraph. Through this interim final rule, IFR, and IFR is when this rule takes immediate effect, not waiting for public comment. We'll go through that a little bit later on in the document, but basically the date it's published is the date it goes into effect. Through this IFR, FMCSA restores the integrity of the commercial driver's license issuance processes by significantly limiting the authority for state driver's licensing agencies to issue and renew non-domiciled commercial learners permits and CDLs to individuals domiciled in a foreign jurisdiction. So then it goes on to make kind of a summary of what this document is about, what this rule is about, and it says that the changes are there to strengthen the security when issuing CDLs. It also revises who states can issue CDLs to, what the requirements are to get a non-domiciled CDL, and when these non-domiciled CDLs must be canceled or revoked. Now, the reason for this is the fact that the FMCSA did an investigation and they found evidence of systemic nationwide regulatory non-compliance by the states in the issuance of non-domiciled CDLs and commercial learners permits. We'll go through what they found in just a moment, but what does this new rule do? Number one, it limits who can get a non-domiciled CDL or commercial learners permit to only people who maintain a lawful immigration status in certain employment-based non-immigrant categories. That's your first clue. It's no longer going to be for everyone. It's only going to be for specific visa types, but that's not all. Number two, it requires non-citizen applicants, except for green card holders, to provide an unexpired foreign passport and an unexpired Form I-94, which indicates a specific type of employment-based non-immigrant status at every issuance, transfer, renewal, and upgrade action defined in the regulation. We'll go through that in just a moment. Number three, it requires states to check or verify the applicant against the Systematic Alien Verification for Entitlement System, a USCIS system. It's an immigration system to confirm the applicant's claim to be in lawful immigration status in a specified category. Number four, they require that states retain records, application records, for a minimum of 2 years. Number five, they require that the CDL expire either when the Form I-94 expires or 1 year, whichever is sooner. Next, it requires that applicants who are renewing their non-domiciled CDLs be present in person rather than mail in their renewals. And finally, it requires that states downgrade the non-domiciled commercial learners permit or CDL if the state becomes aware that the holder is no longer eligible to hold a non-domiciled CDL or commercial learners permit. Currently, state procedures for issuing non-domiciled CDLs or commercial learners permits must require that an applicant domiciled in a foreign jurisdiction show that he or she is registered by providing an unexpired employment authorization document issued by the USCIS or an unexpired foreign passport accompanied by an approved I-94 form documenting the applicant's most recent admittance in the United States. This is about to change. So where is this ruling coming from? Before we go through specifics of what is going to happen, well, in this document, as you can see, it says that each year the FMCSA conducts an annual program review to ensure that states are compliant with the CDL program. This year, they focused on the issuance of non-domiciled CDLs. Please excuse excuse the sound in the background, but we have to get through this. So in 2025, this review uncovered systemic procedural and computer programming errors, significant problems with staff training and quality assurance, and policies that lack sufficient management controls in the issuance of non-domiciled commercial learners permits or CDLs by multiple states. And then they go on to give an example. And of course, the example is always California. What they found once they reviewed a sample of records, they found that approximately 1 in 4 non-domiciled CDLs that were issued in California were not compliant with requirements 49, parts 383 and 384. Now, in that same review, the FMCSA uncovered that the state had issued non-domiciled CDLs with expiration dates as long as 4 years after the employment authorization document's expiration date. And then they go on to say, even more troubling was that some of these non-domiciled CDLs included a passenger and school bus endorsement. Further, the 2025 APRs have shown at least 5 other states, including Colorado, Pennsylvania, South Dakota, Texas, and Washington, that have issued non-domiciled CDLs in violation of the regulatory requirements. So what is driving this? Really, what is driving this is, of course, the executive order, but also it's the fact that there are a ton of crashes happening that are they're not just crashes, right? Crashes happen all the time. There's a lot of media attention as well. And here they actually state that since the beginning of 2025, the FMCSA has identified at least 5 fatal crashes involving non-domiciled CDL holders. Now, this is not only non-domiciled CDLs, right? Let's go through them. Of course, we have to talk about, this is the first crash they mention in the report, is the Florida crash that killed 3 people. The FMCSA found after an investigation that the driver of the truck had an unexpired employment authorization document and therefore was eligible for a non-domiciled CDL under the existing regulation, but was improperly issued a full-term CDL by the state of Washington in 2023. And then he was properly issued, as per the document, a non-domiciled CDL in California, but would not have been eligible for that non-domiciled CDL under the revised regulations, which now require the driver to provide a I-94 form indicating a specified employment-based non-immigrant status. Again, we'll talk about which visas are eligible for a non-domiciled CDL. Then they go on to talk about another crash that occurred in July of 2025, where a tractor trailer traveling on the Delaware Memorial Bridge from New Jersey into Delaware crossed 3 lanes of traffic and crashed into a wall. And unfortunately, the driver of the vehicle was killed in that crash. He was also, or she, I'm not sure, was a non-domiciled CDL holder. This driver entered the U.S. unlawfully and was in removal proceedings, but had a valid USCIS employment authorization document. Now, as you can see here highlighted in red, standalone employment authorization documents will no longer suffice as proof of employment eligibility for issuance of non-domiciled CDLs. And this driver did not have that form I-94, which means he would not have been able to obtain a non-domiciled CDL under the new rules that are coming. Anyway, then they go on to talk about several crashes that happened in 2025, talking about how these folks would not be able to obtain a non-domiciled CDL under the new rules. Let's move on. So this is where we touch upon when does this rule go into effect. There's no published date here, but I did take a look at the document and it says that it's set to be published on September 29th, which is this coming Monday. We'll see if this is true. But here it states that usually an agency should provide prior notice and an opportunity for public comment before a rule becomes effective. However, in this case, FMCSA finds good cause to issue this IFR without prior notice and comment to make it effective immediately. The reason for this, they explain, and you can read it, is the fact that they don't want folks during the 90-day period to go out quickly and start getting those CDLs before the rule takes effect. Then they go on to justify why they need this rule to take effect immediately. And one of the reasons they give is based on FMCSA's own 2025 APRs, California was found to have an error rate in excess of 25% and issued approximately 3,820 non-domiciled CDLs and CLPs in June 2025 alone. And finally, they state that the FMCSA finds good cause to make the rule effective on publication rather than making it effective at least 30 days after publication. States that choose to issue non-domiciled CDLs and CLPs will be required to pause issuance of those CDLs and CLPs until they can ensure compliance with the updated regulations. Though this IFR is effective immediately, FMCSA invites comments for interested members of the public. Now, the next part starts going through what is changing. Number one, an employment authorization document will no longer be sufficient to obtain a non-domiciled CDL or CLP, as this employment authorization document only serves as proof that an individual is authorized to work in the United States, not how they entered the United States, lawfully or unlawfully. So these individuals who do not have anything except for an employment authorization document are not going to be eligible for a non-domiciled CDL anymore, and that would include asylum seekers, asylees, refugees, or DACA recipients. Then it goes to say, this is where we get into the visas, right? Only those in lawful status in the United States in one of the following employment-based non-immigrant categories will be permitted to obtain a non-domiciled CDL or CLP. H-2A visas, temporary agricultural workers, H-2B temporary non-agricultural workers, and E-2 treaty investors. No other immigration categories will be eligible for a non-domiciled CLP or CDL. And the reason for this is that they want to make sure, and with the help of the Form I-94, it ensures that the person who is getting a CDL entered the country lawfully. Then this document goes on to say that at any renewal, any transfer, any upgrade action, the applicant will be required to bring the unexpired Form I-94 as well as an unexpired foreign passport. So it's not just a one-time thing, right? You have to bring those documents with you for every single renewal. Then it says the expiration date for a non-domiciled CDL or commercial learner's permit will be the expiration of the alien's period of admission documented on the I-94 or 1 year, whichever is sooner. Furthermore, now states will be required to utilize this system called SAVE, which basically vets the applicant against the USCIS system, right? The immigration system, to make sure that the information, first of all, is the same as on the application. And second of all, to make sure that this person entered the United States legally. Furthermore, it's to check that the visa is either an H-2A, H-2B, or E-2 visa. Anybody else is not going to be eligible to get a non-domiciled CDL. Next thing that is changing, now folks who have a non-domiciled CDL, they no longer can renew that CDL via mail or online or whatnot. No, they must come in person with all documents in hand. If the state receives notification from the FMCSA, the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of State, or any other federal agency with jurisdiction that a non-domiciled CDL holder licensed in that state is no longer a lawful non-immigrant in a specific category, or that the non-domiciled CDL holder violates any terms of their immigration status, the state will be required to initiate a process to remove the commercial privilege from the license within 30 days. So then this document goes on to look at impact, right? And what they found is that, yes, some drivers will be required to provide additional documentation, those who are eligible for a non-domiciled CDL, whereas others will just no longer be eligible. After looking at it, they estimate that there are approximately 200,000 non-domiciled CDL holders and approximately 20,000 non-domiciled CLP holders. Upon renewal, renewal, some number of these individuals will no longer be eligible for a non-domiciled CDL and will have their credentials downgraded. Their final finding is that, including the individuals in the remaining non-immigrant categories, FMCSA estimates that states will issue approximately 6,000 non-domiciled CDLs per year. The remaining roughly 194,000 current non-domiciled CDL holders will exit the freight market. Just to give you some perspective, again, California in June alone issued almost 4,000 non-domiciled CDLs, compared to 6,000 per year that the FMCSA calculated. Just some perspective. Finally, they are saying that now states, while they are getting up to date with the new verification process that is to come, they have to completely pause issuance of any non-domiciled CDLs or non-domiciled commercial learners permits. All right, once again, once you click on that document at the top, you will be able to click on a link in that document, and it's going to take you to this page, which says this document is unpublished. It is scheduled to be published on the 29th of September. So basically, starting Monday, all of those rules go into effect. As far as I understand it, folks who have a non-domiciled CDL right now that doesn't fit into the new categories that are required to get a non-domiciled CDL, they are not getting their licenses canceled right away. They are just not going to be able to renew. So yeah, just wanted to come on here and bring you this breaking news. Again, thank you to X. I love X. You know, people there, they are the best detectives ever, which makes my job a little bit easier. So a special thank you to Robert Carpenter, again on X, follow him if you don't, who broke this story. Anyway, guys, curious to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Wishing you a fantastic rest of your week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep learning. See you in the next video.